the clinking sound of glass milk bottles placed on the porch at dawn. While the mist still blankets the streets of Michigan, it was an ordinary Tuesday morning in Detroit, 1967, where the rhythm of the engine shaped every single American dream. That year, over 9 million cars were produced in America, more than the total number of registered vehicles in the city of Chicago. The smell of grease mixed with the morning chill and the factory whistle echoing from the horizon signaled a brand new day. This is the story of the people who built the world on 4 wheels and the simple moments they cherished every day. Let us travel back in time and step into the small kitchen where an Autoworker's family begins their daily morning routine. In the pale blue kitchen, the wife is preparing breakfast with fried eggs and bacon sizzling on the vintage gas stove. The husband, wearing dark blue work overalls, sits at the dining table flipping through the pages of the Detroit Free Press. The sound from the vacuum tube radio on the windowsill is playing weather forecasts and the latest local sports game results. Do you remember the feeling of grabbing your cold metal lunchbox before heading out the door every single Tuesday morning? Outside, the Ford and Chevrolet engines start up, creating white puffs of smoke in the chilly North American spring air. The ranch-style houses with neatly manicured lawns lined up perfectly along the quiet and peaceful streets of suburban Dearborn, Michigan. Neighbors wave to each other while backing out of their driveways, but no one has the time to stop for chatting. The road leading to the River Rouge plant is packed with heavy trucks and full-size sedans moving in rhythmic silence. The commute from the suburbs to the center is over 15 miles, roughly the distance across the entire city of Philadelphia. A child stands by the window, watching their father's car disappear behind the large oak trees at the street corner. Inside the house, the mother starts clearing the dishes and preparing for a long day of cleaning and grocery shopping. The top-load washing machine starts vibrating in the basement, creating a familiar rhythm of daily and endless household chores. By 9 a.m., when the children have gone to school, the neighborhood becomes strangely quiet and peaceful for a while. The Schwinn bicycles lie scattered on the front lawns, waiting for their young owners to return from their primary school. This is when the woman of the family steps out with her leather handbag and car keys in her hand. The first stop is always the A&P supermarket, where rows of shelves are filled with neatly organized goods. In 1967, a full bag of groceries cost only about $10 for an entire week of meals. Do you remember the smell of fresh brown paper bags and the metallic rattling sound of the grocery shopping carts? At the River Rouge plant, thousands of workers are standing along the assembly line in a rhythmic dance of steel. Every single minute, a brand new car takes shape under the tanned and grease-covered hands of the hard-working men. Without air conditioning, the temperature inside the factory could rise to over 100 degrees during the humid summer months. Imagine over 40,000 people working in a complex larger than the entire area of the French Quarter in New Orleans. The sound of power hammers and the hiss of compressed air create an industrial soundtrack that never stops day or night. These men were not just building cars. They were constructing symbols of freedom and power for the whole American nation. Lunch break arrives when the whistle blows for the second time and thousands of men open their lunchboxes together. Stories about baseball and plans for the upcoming weekend are exchanged quickly over a steaming cup of black coffee. In the city center, Woodward Avenue, the main artery of Detroit, is bright with neon signs and department store displays. Women wearing A-line dresses and white gloves stroll past the large glass display windows of the famous Hudson's store. A soda at the drugstore fountain cost only 15 cents, and it was a small joy in the middle of day. Do you remember the cool feeling of the marble countertop and the fizzing sound of the soda fountain machine? Children in Detroit back then grew up with pride in the factory smokestacks and the wide-open suburban roads. Elementary school was where the values of hard work and discipline were taught through the dusty chalk on blackboards. During recess, the schoolyard was filled with laughter and games played with colorful glass marbles on the dirt ground. Over 200,000 students attended public schools in Detroit, more than the entire population of the city of Des Moines. School lunch was often peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with a small carton of milk that cost 5 cents. For a child of that era, Detroit was not just a city. It was an entire universe of opportunities. Every afternoon, when the school bell rang, the streets came alive again with the sounds of children calling each other. They ran home just in time to watch cartoons on the black and white television set in the living room, the TV with its 2 large knobs and curved screen was the window to the world beyond the neighborhood. Shows like Sea Hunt or The Ed Sullivan Show were the main topics of conversation for every single child. Do you remember waiting for the TV to warm up and the image slowly appearing from a tiny white dot? Technology back then was simple, but it brought a sense of wonder that is hard to find again today. An ordinary Tuesday was also when the gardeners roamed the neighborhood with their heavy manual or gas lawnmowers. The smell of fresh-cut grass in the air blended with the smell of gasoline from the cars parked on the street. The manual push mowers, without engines, made a steady clicking sound throughout the entire sunny afternoon hours. Over 6 million acres of lawn were maintained every week in America, more than the size of the state of Vermont. Those lush green strips of grass were the pride of every family and the site of many small baseball games. Main Street in the towns around Detroit was not just a road, it was the place where every soul connected. At the barbershop, an older man is recounting war stories to the younger customers waiting for their turn. The scent of shaving cream and talcum powder floats in the air, along with the rhythmic sound of scissors. Do you remember the feeling of a hot towel on your face and the relaxing silence inside the local barbershop? For millions of Americans growing up in that decade, the barbershop was where they learned how to be men. Late afternoon is when the yellow school buses bring the students back to the quiet and leafy neighborhoods. The hiss of air brakes and the sound of thumping footsteps on the sidewalk signal the end of the school day. Children quickly change their clothes and run out to take advantage of the last rays of the Tuesday sun. Without smartphones, they communicate with shouts and secret signals exchanged over the wooden backyard fences. Tree houses, built with leftover wood and rusty nails, serve as the fortresses for many grand backyard adventures. About 50% of American children back then spent at least 3 hours every day playing outdoors. Their world was as vast as the cornfields and as mysterious as the woods behind their suburban houses. By 5 p.m., the flow of traffic from the factories begins to head in the opposite direction in a grand scene. Over 100,000 cars moving on the Lodge Freeway, more than the entire population of the city of Savannah. Fathers return home with tired faces, but their eyes brighten when they see the children playing in the yard. The smell of exhaust and the sweat of heavy industry follow them all the way into the family living room. A cold beer and a leather recliner chair are the well-deserved rewards after 8 hours of hard manual labor. Do you remember the sigh of relief when your father sat down and removed his heavy work boots? It was the moment when family peace was restored after a long day of being separated from each other. Dinner begins at 6:30, when the whole family sits together around the round table. In the dining room, pot roast with potatoes and carrots is the traditional menu for a warm and cozy Tuesday evening at home. No phones at the table, only stories about school and future plans are shared among the family members. The cost for such a hearty dinner was only about $3 lower than a typical lunch today. Evenings like these were the glue that held generations together in a rapidly and constantly changing American society. After dinner, the father often goes to the backyard to check the car engine under the light of a flashlight. The sound of a wrench and the smell of gasoline are essential parts of life for Detroit residents. Neighbors also step out of their houses, leaning against fences and discussing the latest upcoming car models. Community bonding is built through short but sincere conversations held under the bright and clear starlight. Do you remember the feeling of security knowing everyone on the street knew your name and was willing to help? Inside the house, the mother is sitting on the sofa, knitting or reading the latest issue of Life magazine. Children are lying on the floor, doing their homework under the warm yellow light of an old desk lamp. The ticking of the clock on the wall is the only sound that breaks the silence of the late evening. Over 80% of American families back then owned at least one TV, creating a shared national culture. At 8 p.m., the whole family gathers again in front of the screen to watch the Red Skelton Show. Hearty laughter echoes from the houses spreading across the quiet and deserted nighttime suburban streets. Do you remember the sleepy feeling of leaning your head on your mother's shoulder with the TV static? Those were the most peaceful moments before the upheavals of history struck this great American industrial city. When the clock strikes 10 p.m., the lights gradually go out, and Detroit falls into a deep sleep. Only the sound of the wind through the oak trees and the hum of the factories remains active. The cars lie silently in the garages, waiting for a busy Wednesday morning that is about to arrive soon. What remains of Detroit? 1967 is now only a faded memory in the minds of the elderly. You can still find those old ranch houses today, but they have taken on a different color and feel. Glass milk bottles have been replaced by plastic cartons, and the radio has given way to the high-speed internet. But if you walk along Woodward Avenue at dusk, you can still hear the old rhythm of the city. The roar of restored vintage car engines sometimes echoes again as a powerful reminder of the glorious past. A generation of Detroit workers is gradually entering their twilight years, carrying priceless and untold stories. They are the last witnesses of a golden era when America was the workshop of the entire world. Why are the memories of an ordinary Tuesday morning so important and meaningful to us today? Because they remind us of a time when life was simpler and the human connection was much deeper. Detroit, 1967, was not just a place. It was a state of mind filled with hope and ambition. A city where people believed that with their hands and minds, they could build a much better future. Although the world has changed, the values of hard work and family love will remain forever in our hearts. Do you remember the smell of fresh-cut grass on a Saturday morning and the sound of the push mower? Those things may no longer exist in most of the modern and busy neighborhoods of today's world. But if you close your eyes long enough and let your mind drift back in time to that specific year, you will smell the grease and the pot roast and hear the factory whistle echoing once again. You will find yourself standing on the porch again, waiting for your father to return after a long day. That is the power of memory. It allows us to relive the most beautiful and precious moments of our lives. Detroit 1967 is still there in the hearts of those who once called it their home. An ordinary Tuesday morning, yet it contained everything that we cherish and value the most in life. Thank you for traveling back with me to that moment, to feel the rhythm of a bygone golden era. The clinking of those glass milk bottles still echoes somewhere in the deep silence of your own soul.